Hello girls, so we will learn today about black money in India. So what do you mean by black money? So there's no uniform definition for black money in the literature of economic theory, but in fact several terms with similar connotations have been used, okay, which are they including unaccounted income, black income, dirty money, black wealth, underground wealth, black economy, parallel economy, shadow economy, and underground or unofficial economy. So all these terms are associated with black money. Okay. So all these terms usually refer to any income on which taxes imposed by government or public authorities have not been paid. So the issue is that the taxes imposed by government or public authorities have not been paid in all these terms associated with the black money. Okay. Now, such wealth may consist of income generated from legitimate activities or activities which are illegitimate per se, like smuggling, illicit trade in banned substances, counterfeit currency, arms trafficking, terrorism, and corruption. So, it can be either legitimate activities or illegitimate activities, as we have said just now. So, whether it is legitimate or illegitimate, the problem is that they do not pay tax. Okay. So once it is generated, its subsequent circuit is partly or fully outside the realm of recorded transactions and therefore associated with the secrecy and an effort to hide from the law. So the issue here is that it is not recorded. Okay, it's outside the recorded realm, recorded transactions. And then another thing is that there's a kind of a secrecy is associated with it and an effort to hide from the law. So that is a speciality of black money. Now, black money's effects are difficult to define because such surplus income or wealth can either remain in the source country as a separate circuit of money that does on occasion intersect or merge with the illicit economy, or can leave the country for tax havens that also promise secrecy. Now, the issue is here that what are the implications of this black money? Now, black money can remain in the source country. That is, if it is generated within India, it can remain within India as a separate circuit of money. That means it's not legally, it's not accounted, right? So, as a separate circuit of money that does on occasion intersect or merge with the illicit economy. So, it also merge with the illicit economy transactions. Okay. Sometimes what they can do, they can also, this money can leave the country for tax havens that also promise secrecy. So sometimes it will take a flight to tax havens. So say there are some countries where they do not impose tax on this kind of a money. So they can there's a flight of these resources into those tax havens like Singapore, Malaysia, etc. Now we know Switzerland, that some of our Indians have a money account in all these countries where they don't tax the money, so they and also they promise secrecy. So depending on where it goes and how it is put to use, if it stays in the country, it can have a range of effects on the level and patterns of demand and supply of goods and services, and therefore on incomes and employment. Now, first we have to see where it goes. Okay, and then next thing is how it is put to use. If it is stays within the country, the money stays within the country, how it is put to use. Accordingly, it can have a range of effects on the level and patterns of demand and supply of goods and services, and therefore incomes and employment. So, it will have its own implications or implications on the patterns of demand and supply of goods and services, and therefore, if it affects the patterns of demand and supply of goods and services, definitely it will also have its implications on incomes and employment. So if such wealth is transferred abroad, now that what happens when it stays within the country? Well, if it is transferred abroad, there is obviously a drain of surplus from the country with stimulus simultaneous effects on domestic absorption in the form of consumption and investment. So what happens? If such wealth is transferred abroad, it is goes outside the country, what happens? There's obviously a drain of surplus. Drain means chorcha. Okay, so there's a leakage. What's that leakage? The surplus money is or leaked from the country with simultaneous effects on the domestic absorption in the form of consumption and investment. So it will affect the domestic the consumption and investment within the country. The development impact of this drain is obviously adverse. So, if the money is drained to other countries, what happens? The development impact of this drain is obviously adverse, means negative. Illegality and criminality are here along with the economic retrogression. Retrogression means decline. So, what is there? There is something called illegality and also criminality are here along with economic decline. That means there's also a downward growth or a decrease in the growth of the economy. Okay. Now, if even if the black money is not transferred abroad, it is more likely to transact in non-productive asset markets such as the secondary stock market or real estate rather than get invested in productive economy. So the problem is that even if it is not transferred abroad, if it doesn't go abroad, what happens, it's more likely to transact in non-productive assets. So it is likely that it is transacted for non-productive assets such as the secondary stock market or real estate rather than to get invested in the productive economy. So what does it mean? Which means that even if it is circulated within the economy, it does not help to increase our um, capacity of the economy to produce more because it's not invested in productive economy. Then, a higher share of black wealth and incomes is likely to be directed towards consumption rather than investment with a focus on areas such as luxury services. Another implication is that a higher share of black wealth. So this black wealth is usually an income is likely to be directed towards consumption. So mostly this wealth goes for consumption rather than investment with a focus on areas such as luxury services. So this consumption also where on luxury services. Thus, even if illicit or black wealth and incomes are in circulation, the pattern of demand they generate would be significantly different if that wealth had remained in the legal economy. Okay, so even if illicit or black wealth and incomes are in circulation, the pattern of demand they generate would be significantly different if that wealth had remained in the legal economy. Then third, since black incomes are by definition outside the legal economy, the revenues that should go to the state from taxes on those incomes do not reach it. Okay, so revenues from taxes on these incomes do not reach to the government. The higher the component of such economy, the more the government loses on revenues. It could be used to improve the infrastructure, reduce disparities in income, and provide better education and health facilities. So, when government loses its income on such property, then government also cannot do improve on infrastructure or reduce disparities in income and provide better education and health services. Also, can be affected because these huge amount of black money or black incomes is outside the purview of the tax because they are not taxed. Finally, since black incomes and wealth are likely to accumulate to and reside with the better off, especially the really wealthy in the population, an expansion of the illicit economy would imply a worsening of inequality against just and fair development. Okay, black incomes and wealth are likely to accumulate to and reside with the better off, especially really wealthy in the population. An expansion of the illicit economy would imply worsening of inequality against just and fair development. So what happens, these kind of black money tend to concentrate more on in the hands of the rich than that of the poor. Okay, so it will not lead to just and fair development, or it will lead to worsening of inequality. So these aspects acquire significance when seen together with its estimated size. Now, size of black money is not that very important because we do not know exactly the amount. There are no official estimates of India's black economy. They say in 2011, government had commissioned a joint study of three think tanks: National Institute of Public Finance and Policy, National Institute of Financial Management, and the National Council of Applied Economic and Research, to estimate Indians entities' unaccounted wealth, both home and abroad. Some estimates of black money abroad: dollar 3.9 billion. Global Financial Integrity estimate of capital flight between 2002 to 2011. Dollar 2.1 billion. Government of India white paper in 2012 put this total Indian deposits in Swiss banks, and 500 billion to 1.4 trillion. BJP estimate of black money in 2011 when it was in opposition. So these are the some of the account of black money. So, but the task is not as easy as sound. The illicit economy is in the hands as this, that even the larger as some of the other institute estimates suggest. Then the case of coming down heavily, those who generate and then perpetuate the so-called parallel economy is obvious. Okay, so the steps taken by the government, you can read that, and then so that's all about black money in India. Okay.